In astrology, Venus shows our love style. It shows what we find pleasurable, what we find attractive, and what we value. So, if you're wanting to know how someone is in love, you want to look at their Venus placement. So, today let's talk about Venus in the sign of Gemini. These extremely fun people. Well, they won't be so fun if you have Venus in a water sign, probably. Depending on other things in your charts. But yeah, people with Venus in Gemini are truly gifted, usually in some way with words, and they value intellect and intelligence and communication. They love with their mind. They fall in love when they feel like they are bonding with someone on a mental level. Now, people with Venus in the sign of Gemini can be very witty, funny, flirty. This sign is known for being probably the most flirtatious out of all of the Venus signs. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that they're promiscuous, although it can mean that because they're generally open to all types of experiences. But usually, this flirting that they do is going to be more mental than physical. But we could have other things going on in the chart that would change that. But generally, these people are wanting to connect with a wide variety of people on a purely mental level. And there's kind of like a childlike innocence with this placement, like where we really see the sign of Gemini getting its best potentials out in the sign of Venus, because it's like they stay curious, they stay lighthearted because Venus can show our heart. So people with Venus in Gemini are kind of like children in the heart and in matters of the heart and love. Like they are all too ready to fall in love, and they're generally interested in people. Like they actually want to know the inner workings of your mind, and because they're so inquisitive, and they actually can ask you a lot of questions, and they're excellent communicators, probably some of the best communicators. We can even see in some cases them having a gift for speaking, writing, languages, anything to do with the mind. And so they can be like the scholars, they can be quite intelligent, and they're usually quite knowledgeable on a wide variety of issues. So this is the kind of person that you can kind of throw in anywhere, like in a group of people, like any type of group of people. Just throw someone with Venus and Gemini in there, and they'll talk to all of them, and they'll be able to mingle and make conversation with anyone. Now, where it gets challenging is that while they're excellent communicators, it can be difficult for them to actually tap into feelings from the heart. And this could be different if we've got, other placements in water signs, but usually people with Venus and Gemini are highly strong and developed, highly developed in the intellect and in the mind, and less developed in the heart wisdom. And one of the more negative traits of this placement would be to be kind of constantly looping in the mind, and also unable to make a decision because their heart knowing is not always as strong, and also their physical body knowing. And depending on other things in the chart, this could be different, but just in general, Venus and Gemini is not totally connected into the body. They maybe are curious about a wide variety of sexual experiences, and they love to flirt, and they love to even be the dirty talkers, and all of that kind of energy they're quite comfortable with. But when it comes down to the actual physical act, they can be more nervous. Not that they're not going to do it. They're probably going to try out a wide variety of experiences, but that's not where they're the most natural and comfortable, right? So it can actually be difficult for someone to actually penetrate into the Venus and Gemini person's heart. And so this is where we get the reputation of this Venus placement, which there does seem to be a reputation with this Venus placement that they, and I don't agree with this, by the way, but it's often talked about that people with Venus and Gemini are flaky or cheaters or unavailable, okay? And I'm sure there are some cases of that just because of the way that this placement is known to be excessively flirtatious. But what it really comes down to is that people with Venus and Gemini, with this mutable energy for their love planet, they can have a hard time settling down and making a decision on one person or even one line of work or something, because the energy is so mutable, and what they love and what they value is a wide variety of things. And so it can be hard for them to really be pinned down to a set of values and to a set of like inner knowings, because they're just so open to everything. So that's what I mean when I'm saying like they're kind of like perpetual children that are just like learning the world and like, wow, like everything is so amazing, but they haven't developed a set of views or values with Venus in this sign. Now, on the more positive side of this, because I do love this placement, when they do find that person for them and their type of soulmate that's going to be perfect for them is someone who keeps them guessing a bit, who is witty and quick and funny and poking fun at them, and they love to have this kind of playful banter back and forth and joking around and poking fun at each other, right? Like their soulmate, when they do find their mental soulmate, they can be very devoted, because this is the placement that can keep the fun alive and keep the lightheartedness and playfulness alive. Like I would just imagine a Venus and Gemini person like in some of the more serious situations that we get involved with when we're in a long-term relationship. I don't know, like during the birth of a child or something, just doing something incredibly funny and lighthearted and like lightening up the mood, and like just they're a joy to be around. So even if they do piss you off, you can't stay pissed off at them for long, because they're making you laugh, and then they're seeing the world and seeing life in such a unique way that you're just like, wow, this is a really cool person. So they can be very popular, although people can feel like they're unreachable or unavailable as far as the heart. But that's only, maybe in their younger years before they've really figured out who they are. And it does take some exploration with this sign. Like if you're a Venus and Gemini person, I would recommend, exploring different types of relationships and like not just settling down with the first person that you fall in love with, because this is one of the placements that needs variety and needs to like explore life, especially in love and relationships and even in their personal life and their interest and everything. So with this placement, you want to allow yourself the freedom to roam, and not just in a relationship though, like maybe you are settled down in a relationship, but you still need to allow yourself to travel in the mind and in the body and move around. And that's one of the true gifts of this placement, is like the mutable energy and the fun and the lightheartedness and the joy. And you want to look at Mercury's placement in this person's chart as well, because that is a big part of how this energy is going to flow. So yeah, super fun people. Sometimes they get a bad rap because of the mutable energy, but once they learn this and realize this and know what they need, they can become much better with it.